The CMO Confidential podcast is a proud member of the I Hear Everything podcast network. Looking to launch or scale your podcast? I Hear Everything delivers podcast production, growth, and monetization solutions that transform your words into profit. Ready to give your brand a voice? Then visit iheareverything.com.
Welcome to CMO Confidential, the podcast that takes you inside the drama, decisions, and choices that go with being the head of marketing. Hosted by five-time CMO Mike Linton.
Welcome, marketers, advertisers, and those who love them to Chief Marketing Officer Confidential. CMO Confidential is a program that takes you inside the drama, the decisions, and the politics that go with being the head of marketing at any company in what is one of the most scrutinized jobs in the executive suite. I'm Mike Linton, the former Chief Marketing Officer of Best Buy, eBay, Farmers Insurance, and Ancestry.com, here today with my guest, Rishad Tobaccowala. Today's topic, a leading futurist takes stock of 2026. Now, Rishad served as President of Starcom, Chief Strategist and Growth Officer of Publicis. He's a best-selling author, in-demand speaker, the host of the What's Next podcast, and the co-founder of the Athena Project. You know, he's staying busy. He also recently published a book titled Rethinking Work. He's been on the show multiple times, and it's great to have him back again. Welcome, Rishad.
Mike, thank you for having me back. I believe this is tour number 4.
I think that's right. It's 4. In a couple of your shows, we broke into 2 pieces because they were so deep and good. So so you got a high bar to jump over today, but I'm sure you're going to do it. Let's start. Tell us your view of what's happening in the marketplace writ large today.
So I believe there are like 5 big factors in the marketplace, and I'm looking at it from a lens of business, organization, and marketing and technology. So obviously I'm not doing it from lenses of healthcare or finance or things like that.
Right? Global politics, yes.
Right, of global politics. It's basically sort of broad marketing friends. So I think the first one is a recognition that alien intelligence, which is what I refer to AI as, is growing increasingly powerful and in many ways unstoppable. And while a lot of people put out press releases and have ways of governing it, it is not governable. And it is not governable for 3 reasons. The first is the creators themselves are surprised by the way it's starting to behave. Like, you know, the jailbreak into Hugging Face and things like that.
Right.
That's sort of one. The second is there is a China-US war, which prevents either government from actually constraining.
Yeah, because if you constrain, you get passed by the other guy.
You get passed by, which is sort of the second one. And the third one is some of the increasingly, and right now the Chinese dominate the open models, but the open models are increasingly pressurizing a lower and lower cost per token for everything but maybe, you know, the most sophisticated version of Claude or things like that. So in effect, it's becoming very powerful and cheap for more and more people to use. So more and more people using something increasingly powerful and cheap as 2 countries fight it out, and the underlying technology itself is surprising people in its ability to almost double its capability every few weeks.
So how does this play out when you look at business and marketing? Because what you have is alien intelligence that is,
right.
It's not a war of the worlds kind of thing, or
So I'll give you the other 4 very quickly, and then I'll show how all of them play out. Okay, so one is there's this alien intelligence. The other ones, which will read shortly. So the second is, which was in my book, but it's becoming more and more prevalent, that jobs and work are uncoupling from each other. So we'll talk a little bit about that.
You said jobs is a silly phase, work is
going through. Right. So jobs and work are uncoupling. The third is that the generational divide is getting worse, which is the baby boomers and Gen Z are behaving like they live on two different planets. Okay. And we'll also have some big marketing issues. The fourth, and this is the closest I get to sort of globalization, is we're at the cusp of new technologies, of which I think are the new technologies in the hard world, not the soft world, which were batteries, electric vehicles, and solar, became dominated by the Chinese. And the next three, which are robots, AI, and biotech, looks like it's going to be possibly a Chinese victory. Okay. And that is pretty interesting on like government systems and things like that. Well, I'll talk to you about that, which is there's a great article for those who subscribe to the New Yorker. It's a guy called Evan Osnos who writes for the New Yorker, and he spent a lot of time in China. He's written a 12-page article, and it's simply called "The Future Made in China." Okay. And so one of the things I'll also, recommend to people is now there are technology tours in China that marketers can take that take you into Xiaomi factories and other things. And anybody who goes there comes back completely changed. Right. So there's that. And then the fifth one, which again speaks to your audience, is I think we continue to have a crisis in leadership. And we have a leadership problem, and everybody thinks it's a technology problem. So those are the five things. So there's this AI, the rise of China, work jobs uncoupling, the generational shifts, and a leadership issue. Outside of those five, we're all fine.
All right. Tell us about how it is coming together.
Okay.
On this and marketing front.
So on the marketing front, here are a few things that are beginning to happen. This morning, I read an article in Business Insider, and I know the lady. I've presented to her group. She's the CEO of Ally Financial. And what she basically says is the traffic to their website of Ally Financial, which used to be GMAC Finance before, right, is up ninefold this year from AI engines relative to what it was last year. But then she says people who come through the AI engines are 3.5 times more likely to convert than other people. And that, I think, means that increasingly marketing is becoming a very rational, because the questions that people are asking and who are coming there are basically very fact-driven. And so in effect, you have to think about not only are you discovered by these AI engines, but do you have credibility? And credibility in the form of customer reviews, facts, scientific papers versus storytelling. So in many ways, storytelling will decay and fact-telling will rise in this world. And my friend Ray Inamoto on What Next basically said, Rishad, that he's, a legendary AKQA RGA, and now he runs I&Co. So he says, storytelling's fine, but it's all going to be about trusted differentiation. So brands are going to be about trusted differentiation. So can you show that you're different? And can you and the data that shows you're different be trusted? So that's one big thing that's happening because of this AI age. Also,
this says, though, at its core, you have to be really good at something, or
you're not. Yeah. So
you can't emotionally differentiate. This says, you'd climb the ladder and you'd be practically good, and then demonstrably good, and then emotionally good. If you take off the emotional layer and you're not practically good, that says you lose. Is that right?
Exactly. And so an example to a great extent is recently Pampers has been losing market share.
Yeah.
And that's because increasingly Huggies has been winning all the comparison tests, whether it's Wirecutter or anything else.
Yeah.
And so all the AI engines for parents say this is a better thing for these reasons. Here are the facts.
Yeah.
So all of Pampers heritage doesn't work anymore because Huggies, which is a known brand, so it isn't like, you know, Mike Linton and Rishad's diapers. Nobody would care about that, right?
Yeah.
Is a thing. So that is one. Now, how
Wait,
that
I got one question. What if I put a bunch of slop out there that isn't necessarily true?
the reason is because the engines actually can tell the difference between slop and not. So what the engines are doing is they're going for credible sources.
Okay.
So what basically they'll do is they will give you and me credibility on marketing, but not on medicine, right? So if we write on medicine, they'll say,
Yeah.
okay, you know, these people are doing like, you know, fake stuff. So one is, so the idea really is to think about that, but also what it means is your product, your services, your customer care is a big thing. A friend of ours, your and mine, Shiv Singh, basically is constantly reminding me, he says, hey, this is about no longer about marketing as branding. It's about marketing as changing the organizational system.
Yeah.
Right. And that is a very broad thing, which basically means coming to that leadership thing, that marketers have to truly rise to being almost like a president of a company, like Corey at Elf, you know, rose from CMO to president. It's you have to rise to that level or have zones of influence much broader than what was narrowly defined in the old days as marketing. Otherwise, you won't have the leadership chops in this particular world. The other implication is this, which is that the people in the boardroom that the CMO is selling to,
Yeah.
and let's say the Gen Z people who work for him or her,
Yeah.
have completely different mindsets. So because like you, I used to run things. Like you, I am now unemployed.
Yeah.
Okay. Or self-employed, I guess.
Self-employed.
We'll go self-employed. Sounds better. And like you, I'm relatively accessible. Buy me a drink, I'll have a meeting. Okay. So and also because people still remember me for my old thing. So I get to access very senior people and I get to talk to lots of very less seasoned people.
Yeah.
And very quickly, I really believe that I'm visiting two different planets in what they believe, how they think. So one of the things that was very interesting is I'm about to go and give a talk in September to AARP, okay, which you and I have long belonged to. Or they
You're
believe
telling me,
that,
Rishad.
right?
You are just telling me.
Yeah. So AARP, and one of the things that they've asked me to talk about why the workplace, you know, should be more friendly for more seasoned people, which is what I've been wringing instead of calling us.
Which why waste? Why waste anything? Yeah.
Right. So the idea really is that if you think about it, the seasoned people that, you know, we are, in addition to the fact that we might have crystallized intelligence, that we may have judgment, that we can learn the craft. Like AI is not that difficult to learn. What may be hard is to build over years the judgment, the taste, all these things that people think is important. But as importantly, the people over 60 years old control about 70% of wealth in America.
Yeah, we had Brett Rivard on from Geezer, and he was saying this is a ginormous mistake marketers are making.
Oh, it's a huge, huge mistake. And so what is basically happening is you have most marketers are in their late 30s to early 40s. Okay. Most of the money is over 60 years old.
Yeah.
The 40 years old people want to basically become the 60-year-old people without being 60 years old, have the power and money of these people.
Yeah.
The people that they are guiding, which is Gen Z, think everything is bogus. So 22% of them believe in capitalism, right? So what I'm basically seeing as a marketer, do you actually know where the money is, or are you just following trends? That's number one. Number two, as a marketer, do you understand that this will be about systems and trusted differentiation versus storytelling? And the third one is I'm going to ask something which is, if you want a provocative statement, I'm going to make a provocative statement which is generalized, which means it's
I always expect this from you.
right. So I'm going to give you a provocative statement, which basically is probably true in at least half the cases, but not 100%. But the fact that this is true in at least half, and if you get insulted by this half, it's not you, it's maybe someone else. But the half is that I believe that marketers have given up marketing. They've outsourced it. Okay, they've outsourced brand building to the influencers.
Yeah.
And what the influencers will do is they will use their money to build their own brand and then run away.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you think about in cosmetics, right, many of the new brands in cosmetics are built by influencers.
Oh yeah, a huge amount. A lot of brands just built completely by influence.
And then who then, by the way, then sell their brand to L'Oreal.
Yeah.
Right. So basically take your advertising budget, give it to an influencer, let them build a brand for you, then pay them a multiple of that revenue to buy what you just built.
Yeah.
And then call yourself influencer marketer of the year. Bullshit. Right. So this is the problem. Our marketers have completely lost the track. And
Let me ask one other thing about this. And then you have a bunch of marketers that are performance marketing based fundamentally. They're not into the storytelling. They are at this logic thing. But I think what you're saying is they're outsourcing the brand building and they're also managing only the bottom of the funnel.
Yeah. So one of the things I also remind people, and this was something that I learned in a podcast interview with the great Sir John Haggerty.
Yeah.
So he told me something interesting. He says, Rishad, can you tell me, and I'm sure some of these exist, but can you tell me of a successful brand that is not a personal brand that was built just by online or bottom of the funnel marketing? Name me one, right? And I couldn't name him one because they lasted for a few months and then they all disappeared. Right.
Well, you know where a lot of this comes from is the Silicon Valley thing, which is I just aggregate a bunch of buyers. I build enough of a brand that I can sell this thing to somebody, but then that brand usually gets absorbed into something else. So I hear you on this.
Yeah. And so in effect, what it basically is that I think that marketing broadly as defined by Philip Kotler, the late Philip Kotler, was marketing is understanding and meeting customer requirements. That was his definition. Okay. That is more important than ever before because customers are more empowered than ever before.
Right.
Right. And therefore, marketing should be even more important than ever before. But I am a little scared sometimes that marketing might go down the route of HR in an AI age. So there was I was not invited. I did not go. But there's the big Society of HR Management thing that they had in Orlando.
Yeah.
20,000 people, Oprah Winfrey, right? They apparently closed down Hollywood studios for a night, all that stuff. Okay. And the big issue is that right now AI is replacing a lot of HR. Yeah. So HR jobs are down 25%. And in some of the big AI companies like Meta, it's down 50 to 60%. So my basic belief is if you automate, put the stuff out to influencers, someone's going to basically ask me, what the hell are you people doing? Why do we even need marketing?
Okay, so what should people be? The other thing, the crisis in leadership. You're also showing a path forward where you're not minting leaders, you're minting executors.
Yeah.
What should people do out there to fight this?
Well, there are a few things that I think people need to do. The first one is I think marketers we all need to do this. I do it, you do it, and a dog named Boo does it. But for instance, when I see LinkedIn these days,
yeah,
right? You and I are promoting usually, here's our latest issue of our podcast, or latest
here's
issue
some
of our
content. Here's
some content, right? What we are not posting every 15 minutes is we are humbly speaking at some event, and we're humbly doing this.
Yes, I'm not posting. I drop my kids off at,
whatever. But
yeah.
basically, what's basically happened is there's such a degree of insecurity among marketers that we're perpetually marketing for our next gig. Okay, and as a result, we've completely lost the plot.
You're painting a picture of marketers as insecure, incompetent, terrible leaders.
No. We are not. What I'm basically saying is we're starting to show signs like that.
Okay.
We're starting to show signs like basically, oh, it's influencer. It's all about influencer. And by the way, we're going to AI it with efficiency and effectiveness. And my stuff is, okay, everything is being outsourced to either other people or technology. What do you do? Like, the stuff is, your boss is going to ask you, what the hell do you actually do? Right? And I've always basically said, can you go to your boss and say the following 3 things? Just do these 3 things. Forget about all this influencer shit. Forget about all the AI stuff. Okay, all right. So here are the 3 things. The first thing you want to basically say is, I know either my current or potential customer and what they want in really unique ways. So I understand current and future needs of people, which gives us a competitive advantage. Can you talk about that? Which is number 1. Number 2, I either have ideas or I have seen opportunities for us to create or buy a brand or an idea that will help us reimagine our business. Okay, so the best way of thinking about it is there was somebody who basically went to went to Google and said, you should buy YouTube.
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe it was Mark Zuckerberg who said, I need to go buy Instagram and WhatsApp, but that was because it was a direct competitor. But what Google and YouTube were, sort of very, very sort of different. That's the second one, which is, can you help me reimagine my business? Can you tell me something about my customer? That's sort of very, very important. And third is, can you use your marketing stuff to attract and retain the very best talent, including converting the talent that is in the company to all being marketing megaphones? So I believe the world's best influencers are all the people who work inside a company. Why are you going outside all the time? Okay, like eat your own dog food. I mean, just go to their own people. But what's basically happened is marketers and brands have less credibility than an individual. And that's because brands are considered to be inauthentic and individuals are considered to be authentic, right? And so if I will ask, you're a marketer and we can't build a brand with authenticity, which is going to be more important in a world of trusted differentiation. You're a marketer, you cannot help me reimagine my category. You're just thinking of how to sell stuff cheaper, right? And you're a marketer and you aren't even allowing me to basically provide me with insights that completely change the way I think about my customer.
Well, this goes to losing the plot, which is you may be doing an awful lot of what feels like work, but you're not writing a story for your company. And
you're writing a story for your company. You're not reimagining your company.
Right. You're just doing things, because I want to make sure this is not 2 guys yelling, get off my lawn.
No. It's not 2 guys. Look, I think so. Here's why I'm very optimistic. I'm optimistic because I think market's going to be more important because customers are empowered. That's number 1. Number 2, if you look at the talent that's working in marketing, it's really, really good. Okay. But third is, because of whether it's turnover, whether it's technology, whether it's like I got to be on LinkedIn with a press release every 15 minutes. Okay. The reality of it is many of the people are basically doing stuff which is copycat, right? So I wrote a piece and it got a bunch of people on LinkedIn mad, literally. Okay, I know how bad.
Well, I'm waiting for all the HR people to pile on at CMO Confidential.
But on LinkedIn, I basically said, so there's a famous novel called Madam Bovary by Flaubert.
Oh, yeah,
And
sure.
there is a line where Emma Bovary, talking about her husband Charles, basically says that his ideas are like walking on a well-trampled street. Everybody's walked around that street. So I basically said LinkedIn is like that. Everybody's repeating the same shit. It's the same idea. Okay, so LinkedIn people are not happy. And I basically said, this thing is, half of it is written by bots. They said, not true. Now, guess what? The actual fact size, 42% is written by bots. Okay, so my whole stuff is, I can tell.
Yeah, and by definition, that's average.
Right,
and I
but-
have to say, this is the first time Madam Bovary has been referenced in over 125.
Yes.
CMO
So
confidential
basically, I'm saying, LinkedIn, your stuff is bot-ridden, completely undifferentiated, self-loving shit. If it wasn't for the fact that you don't have any competition, you'd be out of business. I think at some stage, Microsoft will do to LinkedIn what they did to Xbox, put it out of its misery. Okay, and my own stuff is get real, and they're getting desperate. You should see the stuff now. You got 5 pages, Cover Press, spend more money to promote 20 pages. The thing has become like a cluttered hellscape. And this is where the marketing community meets often. Okay, so
LinkedIn, if anybody from LinkedIn wants to call me, I'm available. So
yeah, it's one of those things. Hey, look, they're very good people. This great company, but this is where it's a lack of leadership. What are we trying to do? Why are we trying to do it? And part of the leadership is, if everyone's going left, maybe going right makes sense, as long as it's not jumping over the cliff, right? So I've always basically asked, and I always ask every time I leave a meeting, can you tell me 2 things? I have 2 simple questions. So if it's a personal meeting, I say, can you leave a meeting where somebody basically believes that because I met with either Rishad or Mike or Amy or whatever, I have greater clarity on something. And the greater clarity could mean Rishad is stupid, and now I know he's stupid after the conversation, but that's fine. But at least you have greater clarity. You come out with greater energy, or you have a greater belief in yourself, right? So my whole stuff is, I don't try to write or post or have anything that doesn't do one of those. Gives the reader or the listener greater clarity, belief, or energy. That's number 1. It's a very simple marketing rule. So leave your customer with greater clarity, belief, or energy. Forget about anything else. That's number 1.
I got to flip this over because, one, I got to move on to another question.
Sure.
You said AI is like hydrochloric acid burning through the containers of the past.
Yeah.
Tell me what you meant. Tell our listeners and me what you meant by that.
Okay. So AI is like hydrochloric acid, because if you think about AI agents, they basically plan on getting outcomes. They ship outcomes. Yeah. They don't care about silos and processes. They don't see the difference between upper funnel, lower funnel, marketing, sales, communication, promotion. Everything's the same. Okay, their whole stuff is, what do you want? You want to sell more shit, right? Yeah. For this thing, I'm going to go figure out how that gets done, and I'll put together things in every particular way. Our organizations are delved around these divisions and silos. So my thing is, if you think about agents basically built on outcomes, if you think about the fact that in most organizations by the end of this decade, the majority of employees will either be fractionalized employees or agentic, and not full-time, part-time, or contract, right? I mean, full-time, freelance, or contract. And then if you think about a very simple fact, which I think also people have to sort of recognize, that in effect, that because AI is driven by outcomes, the real struggle inside an organization is not technology, it's power, politics, and partnering. Right. It's people issues. So you look, this never shows up. I don't understand why people aren't talking enough about this. Now they're starting to talk about it, but I saw it from day one. Every AI conversation is about who controls what. Give you an idea.
No, I'm with you, because one of the things that it might have been at your conference or on a show, somebody said AI lays your organization bare. And if your organization is fractured, it will lay a fractured organization bare.
It will lay it bare completely. But in effect, it is about that. So give you sort of an idea. Right now, there are lots of fights going on, okay? But let me just think about this. Simple logic. what is the single biggest cost to an organization, a marketing organization? They tend to have the two biggest costs are talent and cost of goods, cost of materials, whatever the product is made of, right? And then everything else. Okay. Increasingly, there's a new cost that is almost going to be more than cost of goods, but maybe less than the cost of talent, which is the cost of tokens. Okay. So in effect, a organization's top two costs would be human talent and alien talent.
Because the alien talent is effectively paid by tokens.
Yes. So alien is paid with energy and human talent is paid with money. Okay. So energy via tokens going here, human. Okay. So guess what? If I am the CFO of a company, I basically say my second largest costs now happen to be tokens, which are increasing. My other big cost is IT, which is spinning up these agents with tokens. Why shouldn't I merge my IT and HR department and give it to IT?
Yeah, I'm going to have token ROI.
And most of what IT and most of what HR now does is automated. It's like it's all this, from hire to retire things that they do. All of it is machined. So the first thing is talent organizations and IT organizations either have to learn how to work together, fuse together, but definitely not fight, because that will become a big sort of issue.
It will cost a lot more money and it will piss off the CFO.
Right. So that's what I mean by AIs like hydrochloric acid. And we keep thinking it's about technology when it's about people, power, and politics.
Okay, I like that. I have to ask one question before we get to our traditional last question, and it's open. What's the most surprising thing you're hearing behind closed doors that we haven't talked about, or a prediction for 2027 that would be surprising to our listeners?
So I think the thing that I'm hearing a lot now is a concern that, which has been going on for a while, that despite all these technologies, many companies are struggling to grow.
Yeah.
That it seems that the margin is either being transferred to the platforms, right? Or differentiation is so short, at least through storytelling or other things, that in effect, the cost of doing business is going up pretty significantly, despite all these technologies that are supposed to make it, easier and better and all of that. And a sense you see it is actually in Silicon Valley, where despite AI, more people are burning out than ever before.
Yeah.
Right? So it might be that AI makes us work versus works for us.
All right. I think that's a good way to get to our traditional last question. You know it well. It's a two-parter. You can take one or both, but you must take at least one. Practical advice we have not yet discussed, or funniest story you can tell on the air.
So I'll give you practical advice that we have not yet discussed, which is everybody who's listening to this, if you all haven't done this, go to the most powerful versions of the most powerful of these two or three of the search engines. They don't have to be most powerful, but at least the $20 versions. And ask it to write your obituary.
I love that. It's amazing what it will say about you.
Right. And then when you read your obituary, you ask yourself the next day you go to work, are you happy with that obituary, or how are you going to change it? Right?
I love it. Well, so we have both obituaries and Madam Bovary on the show. First for everybody. Thank you, Rishad. Thanks to everyone for listening to CMO Confidential. New shows drop every Tuesday, and you can find our entire 175 plus catalog on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube, which include Colonel Mustard in the Study with the Job Spec, AI Agents as Teammates, Are You Really Ready to Work Together? and Rishad's earlier shows, which include the Omnicom IPG merger, what it means, and what's next. Hey, all you marketers, stay safe out there. This is Mike Linton signing off for CMO Confidential.